Hello，大家好，今天教给大家做一个剁椒酱，是非常。
This chili bush is dangerously over-encumbered, so while it can't run, this Asian woman's going to cook some Chinese chili sauce called duojiaojiang. Goes into a bunch of Chinese dishes, which I'll talk about later. But it's very simple to make, and it's pretty awesome. Whenever we make it, we end up giving half of it away to friends who have had it before, because they always like, oh, do you have any of that chili sauce? And we're like, oh yeah, here you are. So there you go. Get your chilies and pull the tops off them and put them out in the sun for about a day, because you don't want them to be too moist. If you have a dehydrator, then you can use that, I suppose. Not very sunny today, and these type of chilies, I don't know what they're called, but they have a really thick skin. They don't dry well anyway. So these have been drying for a day, but they're still pretty moist. You need some garlic and some ginger. The exact measurements I don't know, but I'd say there's about 10 times more chili than garlic and maybe 20 times more chili than ginger. You also need some salt and some sugar. So what do you have to do? Well, chop the chilies up so they're quite fine, not super fine. You want a bit of texture to make it authentic, but sort of like this. Chunka, 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 like that. That's a pretty good consistency. If you think you can achieve this consistency in a food processor? Me speak English. Then go ahead and do it, because that way you'd save some time. Although then you'd have to wash a food processor. Maybe you have a food processor washer, but who's going to wash that? I don't know. Put that into a large bowl and just keep going forever. Oh, you'll notice she's wearing a glove. That's because, well, you're going to get a spicy hand if you don't wear a glove. It's pretty interesting. Like, whenever I work with a lot of chili and don't wear a glove, it takes maybe an hour for it to start burning, and I sort of forget, oh, if you have any bad bits like this, just toss them out. Yeah, anyway, what was I saying? Something about a glove, some inane story about a glove. Yeah, you're like, why is my hand so spicy? Oh yeah, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse, and you can't get it off, you can't wash it. You can't wash the pain away. That's a metaphor. Now, grab your ginger and chop it up. First into these little slivers, and then into like little lengths, and then into little cubes. Just appreciate this, ready? Sped up 10 million times. There we go, roundabout like that. All Chinese food has ginger in it pretty much. This Asian woman hates ginger, but she puts it in everything she cooks. So not much ginger compared to the chili. Quite a lot of garlic though. So you'll notice that she's crushing the garlic with the knife. That just makes it chop up easier. Releases the everything out of it. Most of what's inside garlic is garlic. Chop, 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 choppity chop, choppity chop, 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 choppity chop, choppity chop. So I mentioned that there's a famous dish that this is associated with called duojiaoyuto. It's basically a dish with this sauce on a fish head and very little else. Fish head's not famous for being terribly filling, but Chinese people seem to love it. And we'll make a video about that one day when we make some more of this sauce, because we're actually out of it already. This was filmed like a month ago and we just ate it all. This is salt with this amount of ingredients, which you'll have to estimate how much we have. We have about a red bowl full. She puts in 5 spoons of salt. That's 3, 4, 4.5, 4 3/4. Hey, look how stained that glove is. That would have been her skin if not for the glove. Give it a good mix with the glove, or perhaps a chili mixer, which you might have. All these kitchen, I love looking at the kitchen utensils in like shops and stuff, like just the little gadgets and tools. Never really buy them. Now this is her secret ingredient, which is a bit of sugar to get it going. This is actually going to ferment. I guess there's natural yeasts that have found their way in, or they're probably on the skin of the chili, which she washed, by the way. She did wash them underwater, so we didn't show that. So, but this just helps, you know, I don't know if I'm making any sense when I'm speaking. I had a bit of a cold and I'm taking medicine for it. Alright, mix that in. What am I trying to say? I don't know. Something about yeast. Yeast likes sugar, and that might help it start. How about that? Mix that in, and just let it sit around for 10 minutes. I'm not sure why. She said the moisture will come out of it. It might also help just wild yeast fly into it. I don't know. But she lets it sit for 10 minutes. What you do in that 10 minutes is completely up to you. It's a good idea to wear glasses when you make this, because you don't want like a random piece of chili go into your eye. Squirt in. We have 2 jars here. They look like pretty nice jars, but really they're pretty crappy. The lids don't shut properly, and that's important. Don't seal the jars 100%. Even though it kind of looks like the jar she's using now would seal pretty well, it doesn't seal very well. It does let air out. As you're pushing it in, just push it down, because it'll want to sit up a bit, and you can just pack more in if you push it down. So how do you use this when you finished it? Just put it on anything that you want chili with. It's got like a nice sort of spicy, sour flavor. It's not very salty. It's not sweet at all. Spicy and sour, really. And it's really good. These chilies that we're using are not the world's spiciest chilies. They're about medium. Let a little bit of space remain at the top, and close it up so that it's not 100% sealed. She'll close that later. This is our other jar. This was a pickle jar. There we go. Now put these someplace. See, that looks tight as, but it's not that tight. Put this someplace where it'll catch water, because even though you saw we added no water, water will come out of the chilies. It's a nice apron. I didn't make it. Oh, this is a couple days later, and you can see the moisture at the top. You can see the bubbling, and you can see all that water came out. Wow. Yeah, that's weird, hey? And this is, actually, it's weeks later, but she said that it's 3 or 4 days later, because we've been meaning to film this forever and haven't got around to it. We've already eaten one of the jars at this point. So, this is what it looks like when it's finished. It looks pretty good. And you just put it on your side of your plate, put it on top of your like nachos, whatever you want to do. Okay? Yeah, put it on your hamburger, or make one of the many dishes that this goes into in China, which we'll show you in the future. Unfortunately, she doesn't try this right now on camera. It's the first time she hasn't tried her creation for you guys to enjoy. I feel let down. Maybe it marks an end to the good old days. Or maybe it doesn't. Hey, try that at home. It's super easy. A good way to store chilies so they don't go bad.
谢谢看我的电影，你可以试着做一下，很容易做。